The shove came so suddenly that several people gasped before silence swallowed the hallway. Officer Dale Whitmore stood in front of the chief's office with a smug expression on his face. His badge gleamed beneath the harsh fluorescent lights, and he carried himself like a man who believed the building belonged to him. The force of his push sent Maya Williams stumbling backward, but she caught herself before falling. She straightened immediately. She refused to touch the shoulder he had struck. She refused to give him the satisfaction of seeing pain. "You have no business here," he snapped. The hallway grew painfully quiet. Officers nearby avoided eye contact. A receptionist lowered her gaze. Nobody stepped forward. Nobody challenged him. Maya remained calm. "I'm here for an appointment," she said. Whitmore laughed. "With who? Animal control?" A few uncomfortable glances passed between the officers, but no one spoke. Maya studied the hallway carefully. A broken security camera hung above the corridor. Near the records section, a young officer watched nervously, as if he wanted to intervene but lacked the courage. Years of experience had taught Maya that silence often revealed more than words. Whitmore moved closer. "You people always think a calm voice makes you important." Maya met his stare. Respect should never require begging from a badge. The smile disappeared from his face. "You here to lecture me?" "No," Maya replied. "I'm here because I was asked to be." That answer irritated him even more. He grabbed the folder in her hands. "What's this?" "Paperwork." "For what?" "For the person I came to see." Whitmore pulled harder. Maya released the folder without resistance. She wanted to see how he behaved when he believed he held control. His eyes scanned the top page. Something changed. His jaw tightened. He immediately closed the folder before anyone else could read it. "What game are you playing?" he muttered. "My folder," Maya said calmly. He did not return it. Before another word could be spoken, a low growl echoed from the records corridor. An elderly German shepherd stood beside a locked storage door. Grey fur covered his muzzle. One ear bent slightly from age. His collar identified him as Ranger. The dog stared at the door with intense focus. The young officer stepped forward. "Easy, Ranger," he said softly. The dog growled again. Whitmore turned sharply. "Get that old dog out of here." Maya looked from the animal to the locked door. "What's inside?" Whitmore shoved the folder back against her chest. "You need to leave, now." Maya accepted the folder. "Are you ordering me out of a public building?" "I'm ordering you out of my hallway." Her eyes shifted toward the office door behind him. "Your hallway?" "That's right." At that moment, the front entrance opened. Cold air swept through the building, carrying the scent of rain and wet leaves. A man in a navy suit entered holding a sealed envelope. He stopped immediately when he saw Maya facing Whitmore. "Maya," he said quietly. Whitmore frowned. "And who are you supposed to be?" The man ignored him. "Is there a problem?" Maya never took her eyes off Whitmore. Not anymore. For the first time, uncertainty crossed the officer's face. The man stepped closer. "Officer, I suggest you clear the path." Whitmore tightened his grip on his belt. "I don't take suggestions from suits." "No," Maya said, "but today you might want to." The hallway seemed to hold its breath. Whitmore glanced toward the locked records room. Ranger continued staring at the door. The young officer remained frozen nearby. Something invisible was shifting inside the building. Whitmore could feel it. He simply did not understand it yet. Finally, he stepped aside, only a few inches. Only enough. Maya walked forward and placed her hand on the frosted glass door he had guarded so aggressively. Then she turned back. "Stay close, Officer Whitmore," she said quietly. "We're not finished." His expression darkened. The officers watched in silence. The rain tapped softly against the windows. Ranger continued staring at the locked door. And as Maya opened the chief's office and stepped inside, nobody realized that the balance of power inside Fairmont Police Department had already begun to change. Maya Williams stepped into the chief's office and quietly closed the door behind her. For a few moments, she remained standing with one hand resting on the doorknob. The muffled sounds from the hallway faded into the background. Officer Dale Whitmore was no longer shouting. That fact alone told her everything she needed to know. Men like Whitmore became loud when they believed they controlled a situation. They became cautious when that control started slipping away. The office itself revealed another story. A framed photograph of the former chief still sat crookedly on the desk. A half-empty coffee mug rested beside an outdated stack of reports. Several folders leaned against a computer monitor as though someone had left in a hurry. No one had prepared this office for her arrival. Someone expected delays. Someone expected resistance. Someone likely expected her to leave. Maya placed her folder on the desk and rested her hand on top of it. A soft knock followed. David Monroe entered carrying the sealed envelope. The moment the door closed, his professional expression disappeared. "Are you hurt?" he asked. "No." "He put his hands on you." "I know. We can document it immediately." "We will," Maya replied, "but not yet." David studied her carefully. He had worked alongside her long enough to recognize danger. The danger was never when Maya lost her temper. The danger was when she stayed calm. "Whitmore saw part of the document," David said. "Enough to scare him. Not enough to understand it." Maya nodded. Outside, thunder rumbled somewhere beyond the rain-soaked streets of Fairmont. David glanced toward the door. "The mayor is waiting in the conference room. And Deputy Chief Hales? Still missing?" Maya allowed herself a small smile. "Of course he is. You think this morning was planned? I think people rarely leave aggressive men unsupervised by accident." David remained silent. The statement spoke for itself. Maya opened the folder and removed a single page. Not the appointment order. Not yet. She wanted the building to reveal itself first. Power often exposed corruption faster than investigation. "Give me 5 minutes," she said. David hesitated. "Maya," she looked up. "You don't have to pretend this isn't personal." The room became very still. Outside, rain struck the windows harder. For the first time that morning, something changed in Maya's expression. Only slightly. Only enough. "I know exactly what I'm carrying," she said. David nodded. He understood. He knew the story, not the public version, the real one. After he left, Maya remained alone. The silence pulled her backward through time. She was a child again, 12 years old. A pie box rested on her lap. Her father, Samuel Williams, drove through the quiet streets after a victorious high school basketball game. He taught history. He loved teaching. He loved students. He loved community. He was singing softly, along with music playing through the speakers. Then blue lights appeared behind them. Everything changed. Samuel immediately pulled over. Both hands went onto the steering wheel. His voice remained calm. "Stay quiet, baby," he told her. "Everything will be fine." Children always know when adults are frightened. Maya knew. The officer claimed Samuel failed to signal. He had signaled. She saw it clearly. But her father gave her a look, a warning. Silence was safer than truth. Soon another patrol car arrived, then another. Her father was ordered out of the vehicle. He asked why. They accused him of being difficult. His wallet was tossed onto the hood. His briefcase was searched. Lesson plans scattered across wet pavement. Maya watched through the window. She watched her father remain polite. She watched him cooperate. She watched him do everything correctly. Then one officer twisted his arm behind his back. Another called him a name she never forgot. The sound her father made stayed with her forever. Not a scream. Something smaller. Something worse. A man trying not to frighten his daughter while pain moved through his body. They found nothing. No crime, no weapon, no reason. But rumors spread anyway. By the following week, people whispered. By the following month, complaints appeared. Soon, Samuel Williams was defending himself against accusations that never should have existed. Eventually, he was cleared. That was the official word. Cleared. The word sounded hollow. It did not restore trust. It did not erase humiliation. It did not repair what had been broken. Over the years, Maya watched her father change. He still paid every bill. He still smiled for photographs. He still kissed her forehead before leaving home. But pieces of him slowly disappeared. He stopped singing. He stopped attending games. He stopped correcting people when they repeated false stories, as if proving the truth had become too expensive. Years later, when Maya received her law school acceptance letter, Samuel held it for nearly a minute. Then he smiled. "Don't spend your life fighting ghosts, baby." She told him she wasn't. Both of them knew she was lying. A flash of lightning illuminated the office window. The memory faded. The present returned. Maya opened a desk drawer and removed a fountain pen she carried everywhere. Her father's pen, the same pen he once used to write letters. Complaints, appeals, requests for fairness. Most unanswered. She rolled it gently between her fingers. Years earlier, Judge Evelyn Carter had handed it to her after Samuel's funeral. "Don't write unanswered letters," the judge had said. "Write decisions they cannot ignore." A sharp knock interrupted the silence. David opened the door. "They're gathering in the command room." Maya slipped the pen into her coat pocket. "Good. Good? Yes." David looked confused. Maya picked up her folder. People reveal themselves when they think they're safe. Outside the office, movement filled the hallway. Officers gathered near the conference room. Whitmore stood near the wall, pretending confidence. The young officer remained beside the records corridor. Ranger still sat by the locked storage door, waiting, watching, refusing to leave. And as Maya stepped into the hallway once more, she noticed something she had missed before. The old dog was not staring at the door anymore. He was staring directly at Deputy Chief Martin Hales, who had finally arrived. The moment Maya Williams stepped into the hallway, she noticed something unusual. Ranger was no longer focused on the locked records door. The old German shepherd sat perfectly still, his cloudy eyes fixed on Deputy Chief Martin Hales. The dog did not bark, he did not growl, he simply watched. Sometimes silence carried more meaning than noise. Deputy Chief Hales approached with a polished smile, practiced over many years. He wore a dark suit instead of a uniform. His silver tie was perfectly straight, his expression projected calm authority. To most people, he appeared trustworthy. To Maya, he appeared prepared. "Miss Williams," he said warmly, "I apologize for any confusion this morning." "There was no confusion," Maya replied. The hallway immediately fell silent. Officers stopped pretending not to listen. Even Whitmore shifted uncomfortably. For the second time that day, Hales's smile weakened. "Perhaps we should speak privately." "We will." Maya continued walking. Without realizing it, Hales stepped aside. Nobody missed the moment. For years, people inside Fairmont moved around Martin Hales. Today, Martin Hales moved around Maya. The command conference room sat at the far end of the administration wing. Large windows overlooked rain-soaked streets and gray autumn trees. Water streamed down the glass while thunder rolled beyond town. Inside, city leaders waited around a long polished table. Conversations stopped when Maya entered. Every face turned toward her. Some looked curious, others looked irritated, several looked nervous. Mayor Robert Kessler rose first. The mayor carried himself carefully. Every movement appeared calculated. Every smile seemed measured. "Miss Williams, welcome to Fairmont." "Thank you, Mayor." They shook hands. Neither trusted the other. The city attorney nodded politely. Several supervisors remained seated. One lieutenant folded his arms and glanced briefly toward Hales. The look lasted less than a second. Maya noticed anyway. People always revealed loyalties when they believed nobody was watching. "Please," the mayor said, "take a seat." Maya sat near the center of the table. David Monroe settled beside her. Hales chose a chair directly across from them. The meeting began. Names, titles, years of service, responsibilities. Every introduction sounded polished. Every statement sounded rehearsed. Maya took notes, not because she needed reminders, because people behaved differently when they believed their words were being recorded. Outside, rain continued beating against the windows. 20 minutes passed. Nothing meaningful happened. The mayor praised public safety. Supervisors praised professionalism. The city attorney praised partnerships. Hales praised departmental culture. Nobody mentioned complaints. Nobody mentioned investigations. Nobody mentioned missing evidence. Nobody mentioned civil rights concerns. It was a performance. Everyone knew it. Finally, the supervisors left. The city attorney left. The doors closed. Only 4 people remained. Maya, David, the mayor, Martin Hales. Immediately, the atmosphere changed. The masks became harder to maintain. Mayor Kessler cleared his throat. "Now that we're alone, perhaps we can discuss expectations." "Good," Maya said. She opened her folder. Not completely. Just enough. She removed a single document and slid it across the table. The mayor read first, Then Hales. Neither appeared pleased. "This authorizes a complete administrative review," Hales asked. "Yes." "Every division?" "Yes." "Personnel files?" "Yes." "Internal investigations?" "Yes." Hales leaned back. "That will create significant disruption." Maya folded her hands. "If there wasn't a problem, Washington wouldn't have sent me." Nobody responded. The silence lasted several seconds. The mayor eventually spoke. "We all want what's best for Fairmont." "I hope that's true." Mayor Kessler studied her carefully. "You believe something is being hidden." "I believe 6 months of federal findings led to this assignment." Again, nobody answered. That answer alone told Maya enough. The meeting ended shortly afterward. As people departed, David caught up beside her. "You made them uncomfortable." "They should be." "You think Hales is involved?" Maya looked down the hallway. "I think Hales knew Whitmore would be waiting for me." David nodded. "That was my impression too." Maya stopped walking. "I want personnel files." "You'll get them. Complaint histories. Already requested. Promotion reviews." David smiled. "You came prepared." "No." Maya glanced toward the records corridor. "I came cautious." Back inside her temporary office, she locked the door. For the first time all day, she sat down. The room felt strangely quiet after the constant tension. She removed her father's fountain pen. The metal felt cool against her fingertips. Judge Carter's words returned immediately. They always did when difficult choices appeared. Months earlier, officials in Washington had offered her this assignment. She refused, twice. The first refusal happened during a formal briefing. The second happened during a late-night conversation with Judge Carter. "They'll say I'm too young," Maya had argued. "They would say that at any age," the judge replied. "They'll say I'm emotional." "Then be precise." "They'll say I only care because I'm black." The judge had gone silent before answering. People who benefit from injustice always question the motives of those who challenge it. Maya remembered staring through her apartment window. "I don't know if I can walk into a place like Fairmont and not see my father." Judge Carter's answer changed everything. "You will see him." The judge paused. "The question is whether you will also see everyone standing behind him." That sentence stayed with Maya. The forgotten citizens, the ignored complaints, the families still waiting, the people who never received answers. That was why she eventually accepted, not because she lacked fear, because fear was no longer a good enough reason. A knock interrupted her thoughts. David opened the door. "Personnel files are here." He carried several thick folders. Maya accepted the top file. The name immediately caught her attention. Officer Eli Brooks. The young officer from the hallway, the one who almost spoke. The one Ranger seemed comfortable around. She opened the file. The first evaluation praised discipline. The second praised reliability. The third contained a different phrase, resistant to department culture. Maya stopped reading. "Interesting," she said quietly. David looked down. "You saw it too." "Yes." They exchanged a glance. Both understood what that phrase often meant. Not disobedient, not incompetent, not ineffective, simply unwilling to play along. Before either could speak again, a low sound echoed outside. A growl. Ranger, the old dog again, still waiting, still watching, still refusing to leave the records corridor. Maya slowly closed Eli Brooks's file, then she stood. "Let's take a walk." David smiled. "To the records room?" Maya nodded, because deep inside Fairmont Police Department, something hidden was waiting, and for the first time in years, someone had arrived who intended to find it. Maya Williams stepped into the hallway with David Monroe beside her. The atmosphere had changed. Conversations stopped the moment she appeared. Officers who had been whispering suddenly found reasons to study paperwork. Others stared at computer screens that clearly held none of their attention. Fear moved differently than confidence. Maya could feel it everywhere. At the far end of the corridor, Ranger remained in front of the locked records door. The old German shepherd had not moved all day. His loyalty seemed stronger than many people inside the building. Officer Eli Brooks stood nearby pretending to review something on his phone. The act was not convincing. He was watching the corridor, watching the supervisors, watching Ranger, waiting. Maya approached him. How long has he been doing that? Eli glanced toward the dog. A while. How long is a while? Before he could answer, Whitmore appeared. It's an old dog with bad habits, that's all. Maya turned toward him. I wasn't asking you. Several nearby officers lowered their heads. Whitmore's jaw tightened. For the first time, he chose silence. That alone was unusual. Maya looked back at Eli. Months? The young officer hesitated, then nodded. Months. The answer lingered. Months. An old police dog returning every day to the same locked door. Months. A pattern impossible to ignore. Maya looked at the lock. Who has access? Eli shifted uncomfortably. Records Division, Lieutenant Morton, Deputy Chief Hales. Anyone else? Officer Whitmore sometimes. Whitmore immediately stepped forward. That's police business. Maya met his stare. Then you should have no problem letting me review it. Before Whitmore could answer, Martin Hales approached. His expression remained controlled. His smile remained practiced. Miss Williams, that room contains sensitive materials, such as personnel files, archived investigations, juvenile records. Good, Maya replied. Then we should review procedures immediately. The smile faded. David opened his notebook. Deputy Chief Hales, please provide the access log. The access log? Yes. The entry records. Keycard history. Sign-in sheets. Anything showing who entered and when. For the briefest moment, uncertainty crossed Hales's face. It vanished quickly. We'll locate it. When? Maya asked. As soon as possible. That is not a time. The hallway grew silent. Hales inhaled slowly. By the end of today. David immediately wrote it down. Whitmore shook his head. This is ridiculous. Maya turned toward him. What exactly is ridiculous? You walking in here treating everyone like criminals? No, Maya replied. I'm treating this department like an institution under review. Whitmore laughed. Same thing coming from people like you. The words hit the hallway like a sudden gust of cold air. Everyone heard them. Carol Benson froze behind the reception desk. Eli looked up sharply. Even Hales appeared irritated, not because Whitmore was wrong, because he had spoken too openly. Maya stepped closer. Say that again. Whitmore held her gaze. I said people from Washington don't understand towns like this. That isn't what you said. His expression hardened. I said what I said. No, Maya answered quietly. You said what you are. For a second, it looked as though Whitmore might lose control. Then Hales placed a hand on his arm. Enough. The familiarity caught Maya's attention. Not Officer Whitmore, not Dale. Simply enough. The relationship revealed itself without meaning to. Before anyone could continue arguing, movement near the lobby caught Maya's attention. An elderly man slowly rose from a bench. He held a folded traffic citation in trembling hands. Grey hair peeked beneath a faded veteran's cap. The man looked exhausted. Maya approached him. Sir, have you been helped? He seemed surprised she had spoken. No, ma'am. How long have you been waiting? He glanced at the wall clock. Almost an hour. Carol Benson immediately stood. I was just about to... Maya raised a hand. The receptionist stopped. What is your name, sir? Walter Jennings. Mr. Jennings, what brought you here today? The elderly man lifted the citation. Officer said I ran a stop sign. Did you? Walter shook his head. No, ma'am. His voice softened. My wife used to tease me because I stopped too long. The sadness in his expression lingered. Maya immediately understood. His wife was gone. The memory remained. Were you told how to contest the citation? No. Were you given information about your rights? No. What were you told? Walter looked uncomfortable. He said if I made trouble, I'd pay more. The hallway became silent again. Whitmore rolled his eyes. Maya noticed. So did Walter. The old man immediately lowered his gaze. Years of conditioning, years of learning that arguing with authority often came at a cost. Maya turned toward Carol. Please provide Mr. Jennings with a complete explanation of his options. Yes, ma'am. Include legal aid contacts. Yes, ma'am. Maya looked back at Walter. You have every right to question a citation without intimidation. The elderly veteran stared at her, then slowly nodded. Thank you. Only 2 words, yet they carried enormous weight. Across the hallway, Whitmore muttered something under his breath. Maya heard enough. What was that? He said nothing. David stepped forward. Officer Whitmore, from this moment forward, speak clearly or not at all. The warning landed. Whitmore remained silent. Hales quickly intervened. Everyone is adjusting to new circumstances. Maya looked at him. Circumstances didn't shove me away from that office door. The hallway grew still. Nobody defended Whitmore. Nobody challenged Maya. Outside, rain continued falling across Fairmont. The small town seemed peaceful from a distance. Church signs lined the streets. Families gathered for dinner. Neighbors waved from porches. Veterans met for coffee. Children rode bicycles through wet neighborhoods. That was what made corruption in places like this so dangerous. It did not only violate rules, it poisoned trust. Maya returned her attention to Ranger. The old dog stood and pressed his nose against the bottom of the locked door. Again and again. Eli stepped closer. He belonged to Sergeant Paul Reeves. Maya looked at him. The former K-9 handler? Eli nodded. He filed complaints before retiring. What kind of complaints? Missing evidence. The hallway suddenly felt colder. What happened to him? Medical retirement. Maya studied Eli's face. The answer sounded incomplete. What happened after he complained? Eli hesitated, then quietly answered. People stopped listening. Ranger scratched at the door. Once, twice, then sat down, waiting, watching, refusing to leave. Maya stared at the lock. Her instincts were growing louder. The dog knew something. The young officer knew something. The supervisors feared something. And behind that door sat a truth that had remained hidden for far too long. Then Ranger suddenly barked. A single sharp bark, and inside the locked room, something metallic crashed to the floor. The metallic crash echoed through the records corridor. Every conversation stopped. Every head turned. Ranger stood immediately. The old German shepherd barked again, louder this time. His ears lifted, his body became tense. Whatever had fallen behind that locked door had his full attention. Maya stepped forward. So there is something in there. Nobody answered. The silence itself became an answer. Whitmore folded his arms. Probably a box shifting. Behind a locked door? Maya asked. Things happen. Conveniently. Martin Hales adjusted his jacket. It's an old storage room, nothing unusual. Maya looked at him carefully. For a man claiming nothing was wrong, he seemed remarkably uncomfortable. Ranger scratched at the bottom of the door again. Harder. The sound echoed through the hallway. Eli Brooks watched quietly. His expression revealed concern. Not surprise. Concern. As though the dog's behavior confirmed something he already suspected. Maya noticed immediately. Officer Brooks, he straightened. Yes, ma'am. Have you ever been inside this room? No. Never? Not once. Why not? His eyes shifted toward Hales. I was told it wasn't my responsibility. Who told you that? Another hesitation. Lieutenant Morton. The lieutenant suddenly became very interested in a nearby bulletin board. Maya followed his gaze. Church announcements, community events, blood drives, everything except the conversation happening directly beside him. Interesting. Very interesting. David Monroe stepped beside Maya. Deputy Chief Hales. Yes? Where is the key? The question landed heavily. Hales blinked. The key? Yes. The key to this room. Hales folded his hands. I would need to locate it. How long? Maya asked. I'm not sure. Interesting. Hales frowned. What is? You know exactly who has access. Nobody spoke. Outside, rain continued falling against the windows. Thunder rolled above Fairmont. The storm seemed to be settling directly over town. Maya walked slowly toward the locked door. Ranger moved aside for her. The old dog sat beside her leg, watching, waiting, trusting. She crouched slightly. The door showed signs of use. Recent use. Small scratches surrounded the lock. Dust patterns were uneven. Someone entered regularly. Not occasionally, regularly. She stood. Deputy Chief. Yes, I want the room opened. Immediately. Hale's expression hardened. That would be premature. Why? There are procedures. Then explain them. Silence. Maya waited, still silence. Whitmore stepped forward. She doesn't need an explanation. Maya turned. No? You don't understand how things work here. That sentence keeps appearing. Whitmore frowned. What? People keep telling me I don't understand. She stepped closer, usually right before they refuse to answer simple questions. The officers nearby exchanged glances. Nobody laughed. Nobody moved. The pressure inside the hallway continued building. Then something unexpected happened. Eli Brooks spoke, quietly but clearly. Lieutenant Morton has a key. The hallway froze. Whitmore whipped around. What did you say? Eli swallowed, but this time he did not look away. I said Lieutenant Morton has a key. Morton turned pale. Hales immediately stepped in. That's enough. No, Maya said. Her voice remained calm. That's exactly enough. She looked directly at Morton. Lieutenant? Morton shifted uncomfortably. I don't have it with me. Then retrieve it. His eyes moved toward Hales. The movement lasted less than a second. Maya saw it. David saw it. Eli saw it. Even Ranger seemed to sense the tension. The old dog rose slowly to his feet. Morton finally spoke. I need authorization. You have authorization. From who? Maya held his gaze. From me. The hallway became silent once again. This silence felt different. Not fear, expectation. People were beginning to choose sides. Hale stepped forward. Miss Williams, perhaps we should discuss this privately. No. Public confrontations help nobody. Neither do locked rooms. The answer landed hard. Whitmore shook his head. This is ridiculous. Maya ignored him. Lieutenant. Morton remained frozen. Seconds passed. Rain struck the windows. Thunder rolled again. Then Morton slowly reached into his pocket. Whitmore stared at him. Hales stared at him. Several officers leaned forward. A small brass key appeared in his hand. Nobody breathed. Nobody spoke. The key reflected the fluorescent lights. Months, maybe years, whatever sat behind that door had remained protected for a long time. Maya did not take the key. Instead, she turned toward Eli. Officer Brooks. His eyes widened. Yes, ma'am. You open it. Whitmore exploded. Absolutely not. The shout echoed through the corridor. Ranger barked immediately, louder than before. The old dog positioned himself beside Eli, protective, alert. Maya never looked away from the young officer. Officer Brooks. Eli stared at the key, then at Whitmore, then at Hales. Fear battled with conscience inside his eyes. Years of staying quiet, years of watching, years of surviving. Against one simple choice. Tell the truth. Finally, he stepped forward. His hand trembled slightly. But he took the key. Whitmore cursed under his breath. Hales looked suddenly older. Eli approached the door. Ranger stood beside him. The hallway held its breath. The brass key slid into the lock. A sharp click echoed through the corridor. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Then Eli slowly turned the key. The lock released. A stale smell drifted from inside. Dust, paper, time, secrets. Maya looked at Whitmore. His face had lost color. She looked at Hales. His calm mask was beginning to crack. Then Eli pulled the door open a few inches. Before anyone could step forward, a voice suddenly shouted from behind them, "Stop!" Everyone turned. Deputy Chief Martin Hales was no longer smiling. The command to stop echoed through the hallway. Every person froze. Eli Brooks stood with one hand still gripping the door handle. The records room remained partially open. A narrow gap revealed rows of boxes stacked in darkness. Dust drifted through the stale air. Ranger stood beside Eli, alert and unmoving. Deputy Chief Martin Hales walked forward. For the first time all day, his polished professionalism had disappeared. His voice carried real emotion. That room contains archived materials, he said. No one enters until proper chain of custody procedures are established. David Monroe stepped beside Maya. That is exactly what we are doing. Hales turned toward him. You are unfamiliar with our filing system. David remained calm. That appears to be part of the problem. Whitmore immediately seized the opportunity. You heard the deputy chief. He pointed toward Eli. "Close the door." Eli did not move. Maya stepped forward. "Officer Brooks." "Yes, ma'am." "Leave the door exactly where it is." Whitmore glared at him. "You should think carefully about what you're doing." The warning hung in the air. Everyone heard it. Maya moved between them. "Officer Whitmore," his eyes snapped toward her, "one more threat toward a cooperating officer, and I will remove you from this hallway." Whitmore's jaw tightened. Hales raised a hand. "No one is threatening anyone." Maya met his gaze. "Then stop protecting the person who is." Silence followed. A long silence, a dangerous silence. Hales stared at her. Maya stared back. Neither blinked. For the first time that day, Hales seemed unsure of himself. That uncertainty mattered. People like Martin Hales survived by controlling situations. Control was beginning to slip. Maya turned toward the records room. "Open it." Eli slowly pulled the door wider. The smell intensified. Old paper, dust, aging cardboard, forgotten records. The room was packed from floor to ceiling. Boxes lined every wall. Metal shelves sagged beneath decades of files. Some containers carried labels. Others carried none. Several black storage cases rested on a folding table near the back. David immediately began photographing everything. Maya stepped inside. Ranger followed. The old dog walked directly past several shelves, without hesitation, without confusion, straight toward the folding table. Then he stopped. A low whine escaped his throat, his nose pressed against one of the black cases. Maya noticed immediately. "Interesting." Whitmore remained outside the doorway. "This is ridiculous." Nobody responded. Maya picked up the case. No label, no case number, no evidence tag. Nothing. She handed it to David. "Document this." David placed it inside an evidence bag. Whitmore laughed. "You people brought evidence bags to a staff meeting?" Maya faced him. "No," her voice remained calm. "We brought them to a police department under federal review." The hallway became silent again. Several officers exchanged uneasy glances. Maya opened the nearest file box. Immediately she found complaint records, dozens of them, hundreds perhaps. Many carried identical stamps. Resolved, unfounded, no further action. She selected one at random, then stopped. The name was familiar. Walter Jennings. The elderly veteran sitting in the lobby. Maya opened the file. The complaint described a traffic stop, vehicle search, harassment, disrespectful conduct. The accused officer was Dale Whitmore. The reviewing supervisor was Martin Hales. The complaint had been dismissed within 24 hours. Maya slowly closed the file. "Mr. Jennings filed a complaint before." Hales stepped forward. "I don't remember every complaint." "No." Maya held up the document. "But you signed this one." Nobody spoke, not even Whitmore. The room suddenly felt smaller. Maya opened another box, then another. A pattern emerged immediately. Black residents, Latino families, elderly citizens, working-class people, individuals without attorneys, people unlikely to fight back. Different names, same outcome, complaint dismissed, case closed, no action required, again, and again, and again. Whitmore's name appeared repeatedly. Morton's signature appeared repeatedly. Hale's initials appeared everywhere. The evidence grew heavier with every file. David photographed everything. Eli remained near the doorway. His expression revealed something between sadness and relief. The relief of finally seeing proof. Maya noticed. "You recognize some of these?" Eli nodded. "Yes." "How?" "People came asking about them." "And?" "They were told their complaints had been forwarded." "Forwarded where?" Eli glanced toward Hales. "Administration?" Maya followed his eyes. Martin Hales adjusted his cuffs. "That was procedure." "No," Maya replied. "That was a graveyard. Nobody challenged her. Nobody could." Then Ranger moved again. The old dog crossed the room. This time he stopped beside a damaged metal cabinet. He scratched once, then again, harder. Maya walked over. "What's inside?" Eli answered quietly. "Old camera drives, I think." Whitmore immediately interrupted. "You don't know that?" Maya ignored him. "Do you have a key?" "No." David examined the cabinet. "The lock is damaged." Maya turned toward Hales. Who has access? Records staff. Names? I'd have to check. The answer came too quickly, too rehearsed, too convenient. You seem to need to check every answer that matters. Hales' expression hardened. I've been cooperative. No. Maya stepped out of the storage room. Her voice remained steady. You've been pretending to be cooperative. For a fraction of a second, his mask slipped. There it was. Resentment. Pure resentment. Not fear yet. Fear would come later. You don't understand this department, Hales said. I understand enough? No. You understand reports, statistics, complaints from people who dislike police. Maya looked around the room. The hidden files, the locked cabinet, the frightened officers, the old dog who refused to leave. Then she looked back at Hales. I understand that complaints were hidden. They weren't hidden. They were locked away. The room fell silent. Ranger scratched the cabinet again, harder this time. A metallic sound echoed from inside. Everyone heard it. Maya turned toward the cabinet, then toward Hales. His face had gone pale. And for the first time since she arrived in Fairmont, Maya became absolutely certain of one thing. Whatever frightened Martin Hales was inside that cabinet. The hallway seemed to shrink around the damaged cabinet. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Only Ranger continued scratching at the metal door. Again, again, again. Each scrape echoed through the storage room like a warning. Maya Williams stood quietly watching Martin Hales. The deputy chief had spent the entire day controlling every expression. Now tiny cracks were appearing. His shoulders looked tighter, his jaw remained clenched. Most importantly, he could not stop looking at the cabinet. That told Maya everything. David Monroe noticed it too. We need that opened, he said. Whitmore immediately stepped forward. No. The answer came too fast, too forcefully. Every officer in the room noticed. Maya turned toward him. Why not? It contains archived materials. So? You don't know what you're dealing with. Maya held his stare. Neither do you, apparently. The response landed hard. Whitmore looked away first. That small moment did not go unnoticed. Several officers exchanged surprised glances. People like Dale Whitmore rarely backed down. Today he seemed increasingly uncertain. Maya faced David. Call an evidence technician. David nodded immediately. Already requested. Hales stepped forward. That isn't necessary. Yes, Maya replied. It is. We can review those materials later. Why later? The question lingered. Hales offered no answer. Outside, rain battered the building. Wind rattled the windows. Dark clouds pressed low over Fairmont. The weather felt strangely appropriate. Years of hidden secrets often surfaced during storms. While waiting for the technician, Maya continued reviewing files. Each box revealed more disturbing patterns. Citizens complained, reports disappeared, reviews ended quickly. Investigations rarely advanced. The same names kept appearing. Whitmore, Morton, Hales, again and again, like signatures stamped across buried truths. Then David stopped. What is it? Maya asked. He lifted a folder. Officer Brooks. Eli looked surprised. My file? David nodded. Maya accepted the document. Several evaluation reports sat inside. The first described Brooks as dependable, the second praised professionalism, the third contained different language, questioning departmental priorities, lacking command alignment, resistant to department culture. Maya looked up. When did these begin? Eli shifted uncomfortably. After I started asking questions. What questions? Missing reports. The room became silent. Whitmore cursed quietly. Maya heard it. So did everyone else. When exactly? She asked. Eli swallowed. A little over a year ago. What happened? Citizens kept requesting complaint updates. And? I couldn't find the files. Maya closed the folder. The pattern was becoming clearer. People who ignored problems advanced. People who questioned problems suffered. That was not management. That was protection. The evidence technician finally arrived. A middle-aged woman carrying sealed equipment cases entered the storage room. Her expression became serious immediately. Which cabinet? David pointed. That one. The technician approached carefully. She inspected the lock, examined the hinges, studied the damage, then looked back toward Maya. This cabinet has been opened repeatedly. Hales immediately responded. Of course it has. It's storage. The technician shook her head. Not normally. Nobody spoke. Someone forced this mechanism several times. The room grew quieter. Whitmore looked toward Hales. Hales looked toward the floor. Another crack, another mistake. The technician began working. Tools clicked softly against metal. Minutes passed. Nobody left. Nobody wanted to miss what came next. Finally, a loud metallic snap echoed through the room. The lock released. The cabinet door slowly opened. Rows of hard drives filled the shelves. Dozens, maybe hundreds. Evidence archives, body camera recordings, digital records, years of police activity. David immediately began documenting everything. Then he stopped. Wait. Maya stepped closer. Several slots sat completely empty. The inventory stickers remained. The drives did not. The technician frowned. These were removed. How many? Maya asked. The technician counted carefully. The room remained silent. Nobody interrupted. Nobody breathed. Finally, she looked up. 21. The number struck like lightning. 21 missing evidence drives. 21 missing pieces of truth. 21 opportunities for stories to disappear. Whitmore's face drained of color. Morton looked sick. Hales stared at the cabinet without speaking. Maya slowly turned toward him. When were they removed? I don't know. Who removed them? I don't know. Who had access? I don't know. The answers sounded weaker every time. Maya took one slow step forward. You supervised this division? Yes. You approved evidence procedures? Yes. You reviewed complaints connected to these records? Yes. Yet somehow you know nothing. Hales said nothing. That silence became its own answer. Then Ranger suddenly moved. The old dog walked away from the cabinet, past the boxes, past the shelves, toward the rear wall. Everyone watched. He stopped beside a large metal shelving unit. Then he scratched the floor. Once, twice, 3 times. The dog sat down, staring directly at the wall. Maya followed his gaze. At first she saw nothing. Then David noticed it. Look. Faint scrape marks crossed the floor beneath the shelving unit, as though it had been moved repeatedly. The room grew silent again. A different silence, a heavier silence. The technician crouched beside the shelf. Those marks are recent. Whitmore immediately stepped backward. Just one step, but Maya noticed. Fear had finally appeared. Real fear. Not anger, not arrogance. Fear. She looked toward Hales. The deputy chief had gone completely still. Too still, the kind of stillness people adopted when they already knew what might be found. Maya turned toward David. Photograph everything. David nodded. The technician documented the shelf. The floor, the wall, Ranger waiting beside it. Every detail, every angle, every clue. When the documentation finished, Maya faced the technician. Can it be moved? Yes. Do it. The technician and David grasped the shelf. It resisted initially, then slowly scraped backward. Dust rose into the air. Metal groaned. The room held its breath. Behind the shelving unit, hidden within the wall itself, sat a narrow square panel, almost invisible. Painted the same color as the surrounding surface, concealed deliberately. Ranger barked once, a sharp, victorious bark, and suddenly every person in the room understood. The old dog had not been guarding a door. He had been guarding a secret. The hidden panel changed everything. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. The storage room felt frozen in time. Dust drifted through the stale air while rain hammered against the building outside. Ranger sat proudly beside the wall. The old German shepherd looked calmer than anyone else in the room. For months he had returned to this exact place, day after day, waiting, remembering, refusing to let the truth disappear. Maya Williams stared at the concealed panel. Then she looked toward Martin Hales. The deputy chief's face had become expressionless, too expressionless. The kind of expression people wore when panic threatened to surface. David Monroe noticed it too. Interesting place for a hidden compartment, he said. Nobody answered. The evidence technician stepped forward. Everyone stay back. She pulled on fresh gloves. The room remained silent. Whitmore stood near the doorway. His breathing appeared heavier now. The confidence that carried him through the morning was gone. Fear had replaced it. Fear always changed people. The technician carefully examined the panel. A small latch sat hidden beneath the paint. Almost invisible, almost. Found it. A metallic click echoed softly. The compartment opened. Nobody breathed. Inside sat several sealed plastic bags. Nothing more, nothing less. Small bags, large consequences. The technician removed the first one. Then another, then another. David immediately began photographing everything. Evidence labels appeared. Storage cards, handwritten notes, case references, body camera identifiers. The atmosphere inside the room shifted instantly. This was no longer suspicion. This was evidence. Real evidence. Documented evidence. Dangerous evidence. The technician handed one bag to David. Maya leaned closer. A handwritten note sat inside. Only a few words. WJ, stop body cam removed. Maya felt a chill move through her. Walter Jennings, the elderly veteran waiting in the lobby. The complaint dismissed years ago. The missing body camera footage. The initials attached to the note matched Whitmore. Nobody needed to explain it. The room understood. Whitmore immediately spoke. That could mean anything. Maya looked at him. Nobody asked what it meant. His face reddened. The technician continued removing items. Another sealed bag appeared, then another, then a folded sheet of paper. David carefully opened it. The room fell silent. A handwritten title sat across the top. Problem complaints. Below it appeared a list of names. Walter Jennings, Maria Vega, Andrew Coleman, Lucille Price, Thomas Reed, and many others. Maya immediately recognized several names. They matched files discovered earlier, missing complaints, disappearing evidence, dismissed investigations, patterns becoming proof. David slowly lowered the paper. These are the same cases. Yes. Maya's voice remained steady, but inside she felt the weight of what they had uncovered. This was not negligence. This was selection. Someone had identified complaints that created risk. Someone had removed supporting evidence. Someone had separated truth from official records. That required planning. That required access. That required protection. Ranger lowered himself beside the wall. His head rested quietly on the floor, almost as if his work was finally finished. Eli Brooks crouched beside him. Good boy. The young officer's voice trembled. Maya understood why. Years of doubt were becoming reality. Years of suspicion were becoming evidence. Martin Hales finally cleared his throat. We need to avoid jumping to conclusions. Maya turned toward him. 21 missing drives. She pointed toward the cabinet. Hidden complaint files. She pointed toward the storage boxes. Concealed evidence behind a false wall. She pointed toward the compartment. Those are not conclusions. The room became silent. Again. And again, Hales had no answer. David looked toward Maya. We need federal evidence recovery here immediately. Call them. Hales objected at once. This is still a local facility. No. Maya's answer came instantly. It is now a federal review site. The words landed heavily. Whitmore looked toward Hales. Hales looked away. That small movement mattered. The bond between them was weakening. Years of mutual protection were beginning to crack. People stayed loyal while they felt safe. Evidence changed that. Whitmore spoke again. You're tearing apart an entire department because of old complaints. Maya faced him. No, her voice remained calm. This department is being torn apart because people trusted you with power. Nobody moved. Nobody challenged her. Even Whitmore remained silent. The truth was becoming difficult to argue with. David completed the call. Federal recovery team is on the way. Good. Maya looked around the room. The hidden compartment, the missing drives, the frightened officers, the nervous supervisors. The old dog resting beside the truth. Every piece mattered. Every piece connected. But something still bothered her. Something larger remained hidden. This operation had existed too long. Too many files, too many complaints, too many missing records. A system this organized rarely belonged to one person. Her eyes moved toward Hales, then toward Morton, then toward Whitmore. Different personalities, different roles, same network. Whitmore was the visible problem, the loud one, the aggressive one, the easy one. Hales was something else, the planner, the manager, the person who made problems disappear. That made him more dangerous. Maya turned toward Eli. Officer Brooks. Yes, ma'am. You stay here with the technician until federal recovery arrives. Yes, ma'am. Nothing leaves this room. Understood. Hales stepped forward. I still require access to operational records. You can submit requests through my office. His expression darkened. That isn't necessary. It is now. The answer ended the discussion. Maya walked toward the doorway. Before leaving, she looked back one final time. Ranger remained beside the hidden compartment, watching, protecting, waiting. Then something caught her eye. Inside the compartment, partially hidden beneath the recovered evidence, sat one final item. A small black notebook. Old, worn, unmarked. The evidence technician hadn't reached it yet. But Maya could already tell. Whatever secrets Fairmont had protected for years, that notebook might contain the names of everyone involved. The discovery of the black notebook changed the atmosphere immediately. Federal evidence specialists had not yet arrived, but everyone in the storage room understood that something important had just surfaced. The notebook rested beneath the recovered evidence bags. Small, worn, unmarked, yet somehow it felt heavier than everything else combined. Maya Williams stood motionless. Years of investigations had taught her a simple lesson. People hid documents, people destroyed records, people erased files. But sometimes they kept private notes. Private notes often revealed what official records never would. The evidence technician carefully removed the notebook. No one touched it directly. Every movement was documented. Every step was photographed. The room remained silent. Even Dale Whitmore stopped pretending confidence. His face had become pale. His eyes followed the notebook constantly. That alone interested Maya. Martin Hales noticed it too. The deputy chief's expression tightened. For the first time all day, the two men seemed less like allies and more like strangers trapped in the same storm. The technician placed the notebook inside a protective evidence sleeve. David Monroe recorded the recovery. Date, time, location, witnesses, everything. Maya looked toward Hales. You seem concerned. Should I not be? His answer sounded calm. Too calm. Concern is normal, Shalil, Maya replied. Fear is different. The deputy chief said nothing. Outside, thunder rolled across Fairmont. The storm had grown stronger. Rain streamed down the windows like rivers. Dark clouds covered the town. The weather seemed determined to expose everything hidden beneath the surface. Federal recovery specialists arrived less than 30 minutes later. Their appearance changed the mood throughout the building. Word spread quickly. Doors opened, conversations stopped, people watched from offices and hallways. For years, many officers believed nothing would ever change. Now outsiders were carrying evidence cases through the department. Reality was becoming impossible to ignore. Maya met the specialist near the records corridor. David briefed them quickly. Missing drives, hidden files, concealed evidence. The notebook. Every discovery added weight to the investigation. Several officers listened from a distance. Some appeared nervous, others looked relieved. Maya noticed both reactions. Fear and hope often existed side by side. The specialists transported the recovered materials into a secured review room. The notebook remained sealed until documentation was complete. Then the lead specialist looked toward Maya. We're ready. The room became silent. Everyone understood the importance of the moment. The notebook was carefully opened. Yellowed pages appeared. Handwritten entries filled nearly every line. Dates, case numbers, names, comments, assignments. The handwriting was neat, deliberate, organized. The first several pages documented complaint references. Nothing dramatic, nothing obvious. Then David turned another page and stopped. Maya stepped closer. A heading appeared across the top. Priority cases. Below it sat a list of names. Many were familiar. Walter Jennings, Maria Vega, Thomas Reed, Andrew Coleman. Dozens more followed. Beside each name sat notes. Review before release, delay response, redirect complaint, archive material. The room grew quiet, painfully quiet. This was not negligence, this was administration, organized administration. Maya continued reading. Another page revealed initials, DW, GM, MH, repeated, again and again. Whitmore, Morton, Hales. The same circle, the same network, the same system. The evidence specialist looked up. This appears significant. Very, Maya replied. No one argued, no one could. Then another page appeared. This time, the room froze. A list of body camera reference numbers filled the paper. 21 entries, exactly 21, matching the missing drives. David slowly exhaled. There they are. The notebook had connected everything. Missing evidence, hidden complaints, administrative interference, years of carefully managed silence. Maya turned toward Hales. The deputy chief no longer looked confident. He looked trapped. You want to explain this? Hales stared at the notebook. I've never seen it. The answer sounded weak. Even he seemed aware of it. Whitmore suddenly spoke. Neither have I. Maya noticed something immediately. Neither man looked at the other, not once. The alliance was breaking. Fast, years of mutual protection were collapsing beneath evidence neither could control. The federal specialist continued reviewing pages. Then another discovery appeared, a folded document hidden near the back cover. The room became silent again. The specialist carefully unfolded it. Several signatures appeared. Approval signatures, authorization signatures, internal review signatures. One belonged to Martin Hales. One belonged to Greg Morton. A third signature sat partially obscured beneath a stain. The specialist examined it closely. David leaned forward. Maya watched. Then the specialist looked up. His expression changed. What is it? Maya asked. The specialist hesitated, then answered. This signature doesn't belong to anyone currently employed here. Nobody spoke. The specialist carefully turned the document toward them. A name appeared, former Chief Richard Vance. The room froze. Even Hales seemed shocked. The former chief, the man whose photograph still sat inside the office, the man who retired years earlier, the man everyone claimed had left long before the current problems emerged. Suddenly, the investigation became larger, much larger. Maya stared at the signature. The storm outside continued raging. Rain struck the windows. Thunder rolled across town, and for the first time since arriving in Fairmont, Maya realized something crucial. Whitmore was not the beginning. Hales was not the beginning. The corruption inside Fairmont Police Department had roots reaching far deeper than anyone expected. Then the federal specialist turned one final page. A handwritten note covered the entire sheet. Only one sentence appeared. 5 simple words. If discovered, blame Whitmore. The room fell completely silent, and across the table, Dale Whitmore's face lost every remaining trace of color. The sentence seemed to drain the air from the room. If discovered, blame Whitmore. 5 words. 5 devastating words. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. The rain outside continued hammering Fairmont as thunder rolled across the dark afternoon sky. Dale Whitmore stared at the notebook. His face had become completely pale. For the first time since Maya Williams arrived, the anger was gone. The arrogance was gone. The confidence was gone. Only fear remained. Real fear. The kind that appeared when a person finally realized they were no longer protected. Martin Hales sat frozen. His carefully constructed image was collapsing around him. Years of authority, years of influence, years of control, all slipping away because the truth had survived. Maya looked around the room. The federal specialists, David Monroe, Eli Brooks, the officers watching from the doorway. Everyone understood what had happened. The corruption inside Fairmont had not been random. It had been organized, protected, maintained. And now it was exposed. The lead specialist carefully secured the notebook. This document changes everything. Yes, Maya replied. It does. Whitmore suddenly stood. You think this proves something? His voice shook. The room turned toward him. You think one notebook explains everything? Nobody answered. Whitmore laughed bitterly. You don't know this town. Maya met his eyes. No, her voice remained calm. But I know people. Whitmore opened his mouth, then stopped. Because for the first time all day, he had nothing left to say. The evidence specialist continued reviewing recovered materials. More notes appeared, more references, more connections. Every discovery strengthened the same conclusion. Complaints had been buried, evidence had been hidden. Citizens had been ignored, officers who spoke up had been punished. The system had protected itself for years. Eli Brooks stood quietly near the back wall. Maya noticed him. The young officer looked exhausted, relieved, overwhelmed. All at once, she walked over. "You were right." Eli shook his head. "No, ma'am." "Yes." He looked away. "I should have said something sooner." The regret in his voice felt genuine. Maya understood it. Many good people carried that burden. The burden of silence, the burden of waiting too long. "You spoke when it mattered," she said. Eli nodded slowly. His eyes moved toward Ranger. The old German shepherd rested comfortably near the doorway, peaceful, content, as though he finally understood his mission was complete. Maya walked over and knelt beside him. The aging dog lifted his head, his tail moved once across the floor. "You never gave up, did you?" she whispered. Ranger blinked slowly. The room softened. Even hardened officers seemed affected, because everyone knew the truth. A retired police dog had shown more loyalty to justice than many people wearing badges. Hours later, evening settled over Fairmont. The storm finally began to weaken. Rain slowed. Clouds started breaking apart. Faint sunlight appeared near the horizon. The federal team continued processing evidence. Administrative actions had already begun. Records were secured, files were preserved, investigations expanded. The process would take months, maybe longer. But the direction was finally changing. Maya stood alone inside the chief's office. The building had become quieter. Most employees had gone home. The framed photograph of former Chief Richard Vance still sat on the shelf. She looked at it for a long moment, then she placed it inside an evidence box. History mattered. But history did not deserve protection from truth. A soft knock came at the door. David entered. "You should see this." Maya followed him into the hallway. Near the front entrance stood Walter Jennings. The elderly veteran still held his worn cap. When he saw Maya, he smiled. Not a large smile, a tired smile, a grateful smile. "The video was real?" he asked. "Yes." Walter lowered his head. For several seconds he said nothing. Then tears filled his eyes. Not because he won, not because someone else lost, because after years of being ignored, somebody finally listened. "My wife always told me to keep records," he said quietly. "She believed the truth mattered." Maya smiled. She was right. Walter nodded, then slowly walked toward the exit. Outside, the rain had almost stopped. A small patch of evening sunlight stretched across the wet pavement. For the first time all day, Fairmont looked different. Not fixed, not healed, just honest. And sometimes honesty was the first step toward healing. Later that evening, Maya returned to her office. She removed her father's fountain pen from her pocket, the same pen Samuel Williams once used to write letters seeking fairness. The same pen Judge Evelyn Carter placed in her hand years earlier. Maya rolled it gently between her fingers. Then she looked out the window. She thought about her father, the traffic stop, the rumors, the years of quiet pain. She thought about Walter Jennings, about Eli Brooks, about Ranger, about every citizen whose voice had been pushed aside. Her father once told her not to spend her life fighting ghosts. Tonight she finally understood something. They were never ghosts. They were people. People waiting to be heard. People waiting to matter. People waiting for someone to refuse silence. Outside, the final clouds drifted away. The town lights reflected across rain-soaked streets. A new day would come. The investigations would continue. The consequences would follow. The truth would keep moving forward. And somewhere down the hallway, Ranger slept peacefully. For the first time in years, the truth no longer needed guarding. It had finally been found. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, your viewing location, and share this video.